The garbage collector who listened to podcasts. They say education changes lives. But what they don't tell you is that education doesn't always come from classrooms. Sometimes it comes from the street, from the sound of rain hitting a metal bin, from a voice whispering through cheap headphones while the city still sleeps. This is the story of a man who collected garbage, but along the way, he also collected something far more valuable: ideas. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Pillow. Stories to fall asleep with and wake up inspired. 4:15 a.m. The alarm buzzes in a small room with cracked walls and an old fan. Charlie sits up, rubs his eyes, and stretches. His back already hurts, even before the day begins. He ties his worn-out boots, zips up the green uniform with the city logo, and grabs his gloves, still damp from the night before. He opens the door, and the sound of the city greets him, not with applause, but with silence. The only other movement comes from cats wandering the streets and a few flickering streetlights. Charlie starts pushing his heavy metal cart, its wheels squeaking against the pavement. But before he begins, he slips in his earphones, presses play, and the world changes. A voice fills the silence. A podcast host, talking about entrepreneurship, about growth, about how one small decision can change a life. Charlie doesn't know all the words. The English is fast and formal, with finance words, the phrases strange. But the tone gives him energy. He doesn't collect garbage in silence anymore. He collects knowledge in motion. Days turn into weeks. The same streets, the same routes, the same smells of coffee, bread, and trash. But something inside Charlie begins to change. Each morning he repeats words out loud, trying to pronounce them right. Growth mindset, financial freedom, entrepreneurship. He doesn't tell anyone what he's doing. He just listens, and every day he understands a little more. He starts carrying a small notebook in his back pocket. When the truck stops for a few minutes, he takes notes quickly. Compound interest equals your money grows while you sleep. Failure equals not losing, but learning. He fills pages with ideas, and all written with hope. Sometimes he imagines what it would feel like to live one of those podcast stories, to be the one speaking, not just listening. But for now, he keeps collecting, both garbage and dreams. After work, Charlie doesn't rest. He goes to the local library. It's small, old, and quiet. He likes it that way. There, he discovers Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. And suddenly, the world expands. He listens to TED Talks. He reads about personal finance, startups, and innovation. He learns about Elon Musk, Marie Curie, and Muhammad Yunus. Ordinary people who decided not to stay ordinary. One librarian, Mrs. Torres, notices him coming every day. She asks, "Are you studying for something?" He smiles. "I'm studying for life." She laughs softly. From then on, she starts saving books for him. Business basics, leadership, creativity. She even helps him translate difficult phrases or words from podcasts. Charlie begins to dream bigger, not of escaping his job, but of understanding it. He starts seeing patterns in the city's waste, how every neighborhood throws away different things, how timing affects the roots. He wonders, what if garbage could teach us how people live? He doesn't realize it yet, but he's slowly becoming a thinker. One morning, the rain doesn't stop. The trucks delay. The streets overflow with trash and water. Charlie's gloves soak through. His phone buzzes with one last message, then slips from his hand and shatters. He picks it up. The screen is black, dead. The podcasts are gone. The voices, the lessons, the company, gone. That night, the rain keeps falling outside his small window. He lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in a long while, his world feels small again. He thinks about quitting, not the job, but the dream. "Who was I kidding?" he whispers. "I'm just a garbage man." But then, in the corner of his desk, his notebook catches his eye. Soaked pages, bent cover, but the words still there. Keep listening. Learn something new every day. He closes his eyes and smiles faintly. Maybe the phone broke, but the lessons didn't. The next morning, he walks straight to the library. Same gloves, same uniform. He stands by the door as soon as it opens. Mrs. Torres smiles. "Back so soon?" He nods. "I lost my phone, but maybe I can listen here." And that's how Charlie starts a new chapter. He spends hours watching online courses. He learns what a business model is, how social enterprises work, and what scalability means. He starts applying ideas in small ways, sorting recyclables better, helping neighbors reuse cardboard boxes, teaching kids not to throw batteries in the trash. He's not building a company yet. He's building a mindset. And slowly, his coworkers start noticing. At lunch, one of them asks, "Why are you always writing?" Charlie shrugs. "I'm writing ideas." They laugh. "You think you're going to start a company from garbage?" He doesn't answer, but in his head, the answer is already yes, because while others saw trash, he saw potential. One night he's emptying bins near a university campus. He finds old computers, keyboards, wires, all dumped. He takes them home. He opens them, studies their parts, and looks up tutorials on YouTube about electronics recycling. Within months, he learns how to separate copper, aluminum, and plastics safely. He sells small amounts to recycling plants. It's not much, but it's something he built himself. Using old machine parts and a blender motor, he builds a small plastic shredder. It takes weeks and burns out twice, but eventually it works. He grinds colorful bottle caps into tiny flakes. Then, with heat, he melts them into small molds. He makes keychains. He sells them at the Sunday market. The first customer buys one for $1. It's nothing. But for Charlie, it's everything. He goes home, writes the date in his notebook, and writes one line below it. Knowledge is the best kind of recycling. One morning, near the university again, a student recognizes him. "Are you the guy from the recycling project?" Charlie looks surprised. "What project?" The student laughs. "There's a video about you online. You're an example in our class. About innovation. He can't believe it. He never posted anything." Turns out the librarian Mrs. Torres had shared photos of his workshop with a teacher she knew. A few days later, a local journalist calls. They want to do a story. The headline reads, "The Garbage Collector Who Turns Waste into Hope." Months later, Charlie gets invited to speak at a local entrepreneurship event. He's nervous. He doesn't own a suit, just a clean uniform. He walks onto the stage, takes a breath, and begins. "I don't have a company," he says. "I don't have investors. What I have are questions." He talks about his mornings, about the podcasts, about how ideas kept him alive when the world felt heavy. He ends with, "I realized something. Trash is just potential in the wrong place, and sometimes so are people." The audience stays silent for a moment, then stands and applauds. Today, Charlie runs a small workshop behind his house. He trains young people from the neighborhood. He teaches them how to fix old electronics, reuse plastics, and most importantly, to stay curious. He still works part-time for the sanitation department. But now, when he walks the streets, he wears his headphones proudly. Because those podcasts didn't just teach him about business. They taught him how to believe again. If you're listening to this tonight, maybe you're cleaning tables, maybe you're driving all night. Maybe you think learning is for others, for people with titles, diplomas, and offices. But remember, knowledge doesn't need permission. It only needs attention. Every voice you hear, every story you listen to, every sentence that stays with you is a seed. And if you water it long enough, it grows. You don't have to quit your job to start your dream. You can build it quietly, one shift, one notebook, one idea at a time. Because in the end, the people who build the future aren't always the ones on stage. Sometimes, they're the ones cleaning it before the lights turn on. Sleep well, dreamer. Tomorrow, your story continues.